Welcome guys, welcome back to the channel and another video. And this week we're talking doorstep Roman archaeology. Now, one of the things that I have learnt through the process of doing the Roman Gazette is the amazing extent and reach of the Roman operation in Britain. Reach, that's a very modern corporate sort of word, isn't it? They didn't seem to bother too much with Cornwall, but then again, who does? But apart from that, they were everywhere. So the objective of this week's vlog is to show you the Roman stuff that I can get to by stepping out from my own doorstep. And by doing this, I've probably got some sort of romantic notion that I'm going to inspire at least some of the tens of viewers of this channel to go out and find some Roman stuff on their own doorstep. Now, it's a bit of a steep climb from here, but let's see what we can find. When I say steep climb, that's obviously for me to deal with. You could all watch this from the comfort of your own devices. And I don't know if you ever give any thought when you're watching YouTubers' content that to film shots like this, they've already had to go up the hill once to put the camera in place. It's when we get over this stile and into this field that I start to feel that sense of Roman Gazette anticipation. But I must warn you, after recent editions of the Roman Gazette where we've seen some very tangible stuff, today is more going to be about me talking about things that you probably can't see. Now, it's here where the fun really starts, when we cross this ditch. Because it's once we've crossed the ditch that we are standing on a Roman road. I am walking along the course of a Roman road that we've looked at before. It's the Ribchester to Carlisle Roman road, McGarry 7C. There's nothing really to tell you that there's a road here. The bankment that you can see behind me there is actually a man-made cutting, but over the years the hill has slipped. You can see the ripples there on the hillside. Hopefully you can see that there where the land has sort of slipped. But the road itself obviously fell out of use a very long time ago, and the landscape has been completely changed. McGarry had it way over there at Robert Hall. Codrington before him had it over there at Robert Hall. But it is actually LiDAR that has shown the true course of this disappeared section of the road. And it is here. It runs round this hill and cuts across those trees that you can see there before it descends into the Wenning Valley. But interestingly, the LiDAR also suggests that there was an earlier iteration of the road before it ran round that way, and it ran down there. But now we are going to head on up the hill. You must realise, as earlier, I've already been to the top of this hill once to put the camera in place to give you the effect that you've walked up here with me or something like that. Before I talk about what we've got at the top of this hill, I just thought I'd give you an idea of the panorama. Perfect view down there to the road. I've pretty much had to extend the digital sort of focus thing as far as I can to show you that from the top of the hill you've got obviously this view, that's my finger, you've got this view of Ingleborough, and then coming in about here, there on the top of my finger, is a Roman road that came across from Bainbridge in the Yorkshire Dales. And somewhere, the course of it is lost, but somewhere it came across country and joined up with this road, McGarry 7C. As well as the course of the road, the LiDAR has also shown us very clearly what these dips were at the top of the hill. This is the remains of a Romano British settlement. There's a pretty squeetastic array of stones. There's one there, there's a big one in the centre here. This was somebody's house. So that's the house I was just yammering on about, and if we spin round here, there's another circular sort of enclosure there as well. And if I zoom in here, Again, I'll bring my finger in, which it will annoyingly focus on for a minute, but I want you to see this dip there. That's where the causeway drops down the side of the valley. And then if I bring that round so you understand the relationship with the cutting there, the other side, as it came up to rejoin its alignment on the other side of the valley. How great is that? A Roman road and a Romano British settlement within 5 minutes walk from where I live. It would be great, it really, really would be great if we could get some interaction going here. I'd love to hear about, or even possibly see, what Roman stuff you have got close to your doorstep. Do forgive me, YouTubers, if we don't have too many more of the sort of obligatory walk-in shots, but the cold's knocked the battery on the camera. So I've crossed the valley. We're going to stretch the definition of a public right-of-way slightly, and we're going to go and have a quick look at the top of the causeway on the other side of the valley. Sorry about the digitalisation. I'll bring my vape into shot to just highlight here. So that's looking back across the valley to the other side where we started out. That's the causeway, a physical remnant, some remains of the Roman road that has otherwise disappeared. One of the themes of this vlog is about history found, lost, found again. You get the general idea. McGarry had this section of the Roman road wrong in the 1950s in his seminal work. Codrington before him in the early 1900s had it wrong, and it goes without saying that the Ordnance Survey have got it wrong to this day. However, having said that, and I'll put some sort of overlay up, the very earliest editions of the Ordnance Survey had it closer to its correct course. And the actual crossing point that we've seen, this terracing, these causeways on each side of the river, were correctly identified in the early 1800s editions of the Ordnance Survey. One of the few physical remnants of this road hereabouts. When Codrington was writing in the early 1900s, it clearly had vanished by that stage. But frustratingly, he references somebody called Romano, who wrote in 1746, somewhere around about here. Romano in 1746 saw the causeway ploughed up. It was a deep bed of large, pebbly gravel, 7 yards wide, and was paved with large, broad, flat stones. So the road survived here until 1746. And then, for reasons we can only assume were to do with money, it was removed. Right, quick, before the batteries run out, we're going to head on up this way. There's something else I want to show you that I can get to from my doorstep. Remember, that's the theme of this vlog, amongst others. Our next destination from my doorstep is in this field over here. Now, this may look like some common or garden hedgerow, but it is something different from that. And thanks to Ian Presuming Edmondson, who has inadvertently supplied some of the content for today, I've got this lovely extract from a walk-in book, which I presume to probably be 20s or 30s. It's full of mistakes, but let's have a little look at it. Veer to the right through the farmyard, proceed along the lane for approximately 50 yards. On the right, stretching for some 200 yards in a straight line, mainly towards the north, is a tree-lined dike. This is the Roman road. So they're talking about this here. We can't see it any better than this because it's all private and we don't trespass on the Roman Gazette. It then goes on to say the actual road was excavated here, but now it lies about 2 feet below soil and vegetation. It then goes on to make the mistake that this is the Ribchester to Carlisle road via the fort over Barrow. It isn't that. We've been looking at that today, and that's down there in the valley. I'll have to rely on the some sort of overlay gag again. If we look above, we can see that it is indeed a straight line. And then if we look at some sort of overlays, we can see that there are the traces of something in the ground at the end of it. And hopefully I've got a LiDAR one which shows it better. So I think what we're looking at here is this road ran down and joined the main road, McGarry 7C. And at the end of it was some form of settlement, presumably a farm, a Romano British farm. it was unlikely to be a villa because all the posh villas were down south, of course. So on my way back, I've met Ed, and he has been metal detecting at the end of the Roman road that we looked at earlier, the one that I was speculating led up to some form of farmstead. So Ed, shall we have a look at what you've got to show us?
Yeah, just for Roman finds, we got two on these fields. That one is a Roman harness boss. It was designed to join two pieces of leather as part of a harness.
Fabulous.
That's probably about 2 foot down, made of brass.
Fantastic. Look at that.
Brassy bronze. And then this one is what's called a dragonesque style brooch. It is broken, so there would have been a pin on it, and it was just used for ornamentation and would have contained a lot of enamel for coloured decoration.
That's a fantastic find, Ed. Thanks for sharing it with us. Now, I thought it was a farmstead, some sort of where people lived, but you think it's military?
I think most logically, because of where it's situated on the high ground, it's probably military. It's on a pathway. You never know for sure. I was expecting a lot more finds here, but it looks like it's heavy ploughed, so there's not much to go on, and that would actually help you work out what it was.
Well, that's fantastic. So thanks very much to Ed at the end of what I'm sure has been a long and tiring day for taking some time out to speak to us.
You're welcome.
That's that. We're now off to the final destination on my little adventure from my own doorstep. And please don't worry if you notice that sometimes my bag disappears. It's just bad planning. And so we come to our final destination from my doorstep. This is a field that has a little nature trail signposted through it. So although it's not on a right of way, I think we are okay here. It's my last chance today to do some sort of overlay gag. You will see that the field I'm in has a very clear parch mark in it, showing the line of the road, and that marries up with the LiDAR. I've studied the Google images for the whole length of this road that we've looked at today, and this is the one field where it shows up. The disappearance of any Roman road is fascinating, but obviously this one has a special connection for me because it's on my doorstep. It's tempting, especially with that quote from Rothmel in 1746, to think that the road survived until the enclosures. But if you look at the hedgerows around here, such as this one here, the road's coming through somewhere here, this is definitely not an enclosure hedgerow. It's a much older field boundary. M7C comes across the snow-covered Bowland Fowls, where in places it's much more visible. But here in the corner of this field, it's running under a gate, and if you didn't know, you wouldn't know. I doubt that mighty old tree is dating back to the Enclosure Acts. I think it's much older than that. We will never know when this road disappeared. But I hope we have inspired you this week to get out and explore your own local doorstep area to find out what archaeology, Roman or otherwise, exists. I doubt very much any of you will bother doing that. But that's it for this week's edition of the Roman Gazette. Please like and subscribe, and we'll see you again next Sunday for another edition. But as far as this week is concerned, that's a wrap! And we do have a joke this week. It was emailed in by subscriber The Five Faces, presumably of Doctor Who, I would imagine. And the joke is this. Archaeologists say that Roman cement is stronger than modern day cement. But we need to see concrete evidence of that.